Welcome to Sudbury Sports Unbiased, your source for no-spin coverage on the Sudbury Wolves, Sudbury Five, Sudbury Cyclones, and Sudbury Cubs with Rick and Craig. Hello, sports fans. Craig here, and we have our man back, Giuseppe Politi, after a one-game absence. We didn't give him a yellow card, but he was busy, so we had Eric Tashner pinch it, but glad to see Giuseppe back in the studio. Giuseppe, how are you today?
Very good. Just getting rid of this smoke in Sudbury as well as North Bay. So hopefully it's going to pass soon.
Yeah, we've had some real weather quality issues. Air quality, weather, been awful. But guess what? When it's minus 35 with a wind chill and we have to shovel snow, I think we prefer this, even though there's a few headaches with it too.
Agreed.
So Cyclones have had a very interesting week. Last Saturday, you guys played. You played Scropasi, and there was a victory. The Cyclones got a well-earned and much-needed victory. How did that feel after a pretty lengthy drive spell?
Well, to be honest, it was more of relief. Was the guys deserved a result. We finally got some bounces. This is probably my third or fourth media discussion about it. The first goal, from my vantage point on the bench, I could literally see the ball going directly to the post from Dominic Paris' shot. And any other game this year, that ball is bouncing out. This game, it bounced in and he scored a great goal. That put us ahead. Unfortunately, we scored an own goal before the half on an unfortunate deflection with Isaiah, and then Connor couldn't grab it. But in the second half, I mean, we made some changes, and off set piece, second wave of a long throw, Aiden Santos scored a great goal, and we were able to hold on and get the victory. We even had an out-and-out breakaway after that, could have made it 3-1. But I'm very relieved for the guys. They deserve it. We've been in so many games where the bounces didn't go our way. And I'm just hoping this kickstarts a run of games where we can keep collecting some points and get ourselves out of this relegation zone.
And it was a big win because a number of the teams that were ahead of you on the table, they also posted victories. So it was very timely indeed.
Yeah, I think the only downfall or the only negative on Saturday was that Burlington was losing. And then, credit to them. They came back in the final 10 minutes, similar to Argentina. They were down a goal and they scored 2 goals in 10 minutes and stole the game away. So it was tough. Simcoe, although lost. So I mean, with a couple more games, we can almost solidify Simcoe being relegated. I don't like to say that about other teams, but I have to look out for the team that I'm in charge of leading, and hopefully we can put on a good performance on Saturday in Burlington. Last time we played them, we lost 1-0, but we also picked up a red card in the 30th so minute and played over an hour short. So that really compromised the whole situation. Let's see what happens Saturday and hopefully keep collecting points.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And last night you were supposed to play, but air quality issues postponed the game. Let the viewers know what's going to happen with that, because you mentioned to me there's a couple of scenarios that could be at play here.
Yeah, basically, the league has standards on the air quality index, and the referees in league had at least 3 conference calls while we were waiting there last night. Eventually got called. Vaughn wasn't too happy, but these are the rules. When will the game be replayed? Probably no earlier than 2 weeks. So there is an opening at the end of July on a Wednesday night. I'm hoping that Vaughn can arrange that. If not, it will probably be pushed until after currently our last game, I think, is on August 14th. So it's possible it might go to the 17th or maybe the 21st, but everything is in the hand of the league. And, there is a world where that game doesn't even get played if it gets postponed to the end, and then the result of the game would not affect the outcome of the standings. So for now, we can only focus on what we can control, and that is preparing for the next 2 big games, which are Saturday in Burlington and Wednesday in Barrie.
So how did the players deal with the postpone? Because it had to be difficult for them because they're ready to play, and all of a sudden game is called and now we have makeups and so on.
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. A lot of them want to play. I mean, you can only keep them in the room for so long. So we let them walk around. We let them, do things on their phone, interact with their players, have some snacks, give them updates. I mean, there's no exact formula. We also didn't really want them outside for too long, breathing in all that stuff just in case the game was going to happen. But anyway, it is what it is. And it's a common theme is you can just focus Just try to control what you can control. The air quality was out of our control, and is what it is. We just got to move on. Tonight we're going to practice. Tomorrow do some video prep and get back on the field Saturday.
And hopefully a big performance on the road in Burlington. That's a huge game because 3 points for the Cyclones brings them right to the area where they can avoid relegation in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, exactly. The implications of the result on Saturday are massive. So we are the staff and the players know exactly what's on the line, and hopefully we meet the moment.
Yeah, I think you will, and I'm confident that you'll get a great result. And I'm looking forward to something we haven't had too often this season, and that's a winning streak.
Exactly. We've only had a couple games there earlier in the season. It's been a challenging season and something I'll never forget. I've been coaching for a long time. I'm 43 years old now and probably been coaching for 25 years, maybe 20 at a competitive level. And this one is going to go down as memorable.
No doubt. And speaking of memorable, Giuseppe, we had a couple of memorable semifinals in the World Cup, and that's our next topic. So let's go to game number one. These two semifinals, Giuseppe, I think you'd agree with the teams involved. These could have well been World Cup finals. That tells you about the caliber of the teams. Let's deal with the game between Spain and France. I thought that Spain almost played a perfect game on Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean they deserve to win. I was actually more disappointed in France than I was impressed with Spain. To be honest, Spain did what they had to do. How disappointed I was in France. I thought they had a really bad day and at a very inopportune time. I mean, I know that the PK was kind of unfortunate. The defender wasn't looking, but it was clearly a PK. I think France thought, I'm just going to tie it in the second half. Everything's going to be okay. And then they went down two. And honestly, it looked like a lot of them threw in the towel. They're just like, it's not our day today. And that's it. I don't know. I mean, Spain is solid. I'm sure you're going to ask me later who's my pick. I still think Spain, this was the final, the winner of Spain and France. We'll see what Spain does. As for the other semis, you hold on, and it's unbelievable. Argentina, I don't even know how many times it looked like they were in real trouble of crashing out, and somehow they've pulled it back. And not only did they tie it, they actually won in regulation. I was like, as soon as I saw the tying goal, I was like, they'll push it to overtime. Maybe I'll get to watch some penalty kicks and be entertained. Not at all. They went on to win it, and it is what it is. I mean, if you're able to push it that long and come back and produce goals, you deserve to be in the final. So unlucky for English fans, and it should be a great final on Sunday.
Sure. Let's go back to the France-Spain for a little bit. I agreed with you that I thought that France had a rather lackluster effort, but I thought that Spain in the midfield was brilliant. I thought they had great ball control, and I would say that Spain dictated the tempo in that game from start to finish.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, quality of Spain shows their ability to keep possession, not make a lot of mistakes, be very dangerous. They're a quality side. Like Rodri, there's a reason that he was World Player of the Year, and it seems like he's starting to find his true form again after that injury because he didn't really have a full season at Man City, and they're just clicking. Spain is quite simple. The way the Spanish look at it is if they have the ball, the other team can't score. That's why Spain has it the whole time. So it's going to be an interesting game, and Spain are deservedly in the final.
I agree with that. I thought they were full value for the victory. And let's go now to England and Argentina. Argentina was in trouble, as you indicated, but Giuseppe, I watched this Argentinian team, and the DNA of this team is unbelievable. I mean, they're kind of like cockroaches, and I don't say that in a negative way. I say that in a positive way. You just can't kill them. You cannot put them out. And so what does that say about the Argentinian DNA? Is there something special in these players, or what's happening?
Yes, let's give credit where credit is due. They are resilient. They are willing to fight until the very end. They did not give up like I think maybe France did. I couldn't wrap my head around France. It's like you're losing. You might want to move people forward. But Argentina, they played like a team that was losing. They threw everything they had and they were rewarded. Also, there is one extra wild card, and that is called Messi. Without
Yes.
Messi, I don't see Argentina. Number one, they wouldn't even be there. But I don't see them coming back. Let's say he was injured or something like that, or he wasn't on the field for whatever reason. I don't see who else is going to produce those assists. So credit to him and credit to Argentina for bouncing back. They won it fair and square. I don't recall too much of VAR controversy from the game. So let's see what happens Sunday.
Well, Messi, unbelievable. 8 goals, 4 assists, and he's 39 years old. This guy is almost a freak of nature.
He's special, right? And everybody can argue it, but he's if not the best player of all time, he's got to be within the top three to however you want to cut it. I know there's different eras and different times, but he's shown it year after year in the biggest moments, from the Champions League to club soccer to the World Cup. We are watching one of the greats, and how fortunate we are to see that.
Yeah, we really are. English coach Thomas Tuchel was really taking a lot of criticism for taking off his attacking players and putting on a lot of defenders. How did you see that? Would you have done that? What would have been your approach up a goal with 25 minutes to go? Would you have done the same thing that Coach Tuchel did?
Yeah, I probably would have. He's only being criticized because it costed them in the last minute. I thought I have to watch. I was driving a little bit yesterday, so I wasn't able to catch it live. But just from the highlights, even the winning goal, I don't think the center backs did enough. I mean, their size compared to Lautaro Martinez should not be scoring a free header. The ball was headed inside the 6-yard box. So I'm not sure what Pickford was doing. I guess they were just so focused so much on Messi that maybe they didn't expect him to cross it with his right foot or something. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I would have done what Tuchel did. And we're only talking about it because unfortunately, it wasn't enough for England. They weren't able to hold on. Otherwise, I mean, it's a classic move. Think about it the other way. It's 1-0. You're up 1-0, and then you take out a defender and put another striker, and then you let a goal in. Everyone would be criticizing you as well. Like, what are you doing? So I got no problem with Tuchel. I think the English fans, I know they're disappointed, but similar to other previous tournaments, I know Southgate was criticized a lot by the English media. Your team got to a World Cup semifinal and you were within like a couple minutes of the final. They have nothing to be embarrassed about. The coach did well. It was his first tournament in charge. Like, give the guy a break.
Yeah, well, the British press has not given too many breaks to anybody. That's unfortunate. I thought that England actually had a good tournament. They went through a lot to get to where they were, and I think that is kind of lost in this discussion. So let's do the third place game. Give it a little bit of time. The Battle of the English Channel, England versus France. And I'll ask the question that I asked you before we came on the air, and that is, does either side care about this game?
I mean, France went into the tournament looking to win it. I don't think they had. I think they had much more ambition than England because England hasn't been to I don't even know if England's been to a final since '66. So
They haven't.
either way, yeah, exactly. So it might be a different approach. I think England might be a bit more motivated to get, quote unquote, on the podium and get a medal. If I'm Didier Deschamps, he's a serial winner. He's been involved with the French program for 20 years. I'm sure he's going to want to go on a positive. I think Mbappe has a lot to play for in terms of stats, even if he can get in one or two more and take the lead, because I don't know if we will see Messi again at a World Cup, and then Mbappe will for sure have the most goals ever. So it's kind of an interesting one. If I'm coaching, I'd probably talk to the players and see maybe people that hadn't featured much time, let's say, up until now. I try to get everyone their own time in this game. Maybe start some new players or sub in some guys, because really the third place match doesn't mean a heck of a lot in the grand scheme of things. So let some of those players get on the field. It's quite an accomplishment to dedicate your whole life to soccer, and the biggest stage is the World Cup. So I'm hoping for the coaches to choose a little bit more of a personal approach to how they're going to select the players to play in this third place match.
Yeah, I think England has a fair bit to play for here. I think they will take it seriously. They want to finish on the podium. And the reason is because, of course, they haven't been on the podium in 60 years. So I think that would be something that they could at least point to and say, hey, we've come back to the podium. So I think England will take the match seriously. Whether France will, I think they will, simply because a lot of the players on the French team are stars. And, you can say, well, we're just going to take it easy and whatever. But you know what it's like with athletes. Once they get on the pitch, there's no taking it easy. They compete.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it should be. The people that are selected should go out there and give their best effort. It's just going to be a little bit different. It's kind of like, it's not obviously, I mean, without being said, it just doesn't have the same thing as the final, even though it's still for a medal. It's a little bit different. I know the Olympics, it's a big deal to win a gold, silver, and a bronze. At the World Cup, it's really about getting to the final. So either way, you have the top 4 teams that have put on a good show. They deserve to be there. All the credit to them. and let's see what happens. As for the final, I'm sure we're going to talk about that. I still think Spain is the best team, but given that Argentina, like you said, somehow finds a way, I would not be surprised, but I'm still going to pick Spain.
Yep, and that's what we are going to talk about right now. I see this game a battle of the midfields. I think Spain will try to assert their ball control in the midfield, and I think Argentina will be battling them tooth and nail. In fact, I can probably see a world where the tactics that happened in the Argentina game replicate themselves in the first half of this game.
Yeah, I mean, I could see Spain controlling a lot of the ball and Argentina being feisty. I think this is, as long as Spain doesn't do anything crazy wrong, making a stupid mistake by leaving Messi wide open in some dangerous spot. As long as they don't do that, I think that they can control the match. And if Spain scores early, I think they're going to get a second. If the longer the game goes 0-0, probably better for Argentina that way. But overall, I still think Spain is the best team.
So we're going to ask you to put your coaching hat on. How do you control Lionel Messi?
Good question. I wonder if they're going to, try to force play away from him. If he's in the middle of the park, are they going to force it to the side? If he's floating out to the side, are they going to try to push it the other way? Had a couple chats with some people at the gym. If I was England at about the 80th minute in that semifinal, I would have literally man marked him. They tried to do
Guaranteed.
some dub, but like I would have done something that you would see at almost a younger elementary level, where I would have played maybe a 4-4-1 or a 5-3-1, and I would add that extra player, literally walk around and chase him around the field. If he goes for water, you go. I would have done something like that just to get in his head and to honestly throw people off, because that strategy is not sustainable for 90 minutes. But I thought they could have done something more, England, because he was the catalyst. Messi was the catalyst. So obviously Spain is going to find a way to either keep the ball more, probably press in certain parts of the field, double team Messi and try to keep the ball away from him, because when he gets it, he's lethal.
He certainly is. And I think you're right. I think that if this game is tight in the 80th minute, I can see the Spanish coach saying to somebody, your job is to go shadow Messi. And I mean, shadow him, just like you said.
Why not? You know what I mean? It's not sustainable. I don't think over 90 minutes it would cause too much disruption and stuff like that, especially if he's moving all over the pitch. But I've seen it used in the past, and it can be quite a tricky thing when someone's on you the whole time, or at least for the majority of the game. So we'll see what Spain does. It's going to be an interesting match. You got everybody speaking Spanish out there. You got, Europe versus South America from a continental perspective, players that know each other from the highest levels in the Champions League and the Spanish League and the English League. So it's going to be a spectacle for the world. So I think I heard something about they're expecting over 1 billion people to watch, something like that.
Yeah, I would say that's probably realistic. I think it may go well over that because you know that every TV set in South America is going to be tuned to that game. And you can also presume that there will be millions and millions of TV sets in Europe. I think maybe even 2 billion might be a reasonable threshold here. So let me just ask you to put your prediction hat on. This is a tough one. I'm trying to muse in my head who I would favor. Who do you like, and what do you think the score might be?
Like I said, I choose Spain. I think they will score 2. I think the soccer gods will allow Messi to score 1 in some shape or form as his final sayonara to the game for what he's done for soccer in the world and for kids and for everybody. But I predict 2-1 Spain, and they will get their second major trophy in a row because they're coming off a Euro.
Yeah, and I agree. I am not inclined to disagree with that, but I just have this funny feeling. And when I was on with Eric, when you were not available, I told Eric, I said, is a very mentally tough group. And somehow I just have this feeling they're going to say, you know what, Messi, we're going to win this for you. And I think there's a big motivation in the Argentinian camp to give Messi his opportunity. And I think Argentina will prevail here. And I think it's going to be 2-1. And I think this may actually go to extra time, Giuseppe.
I would agree. I think an extra time is possible, but I still see Spain as the better team.
And it's funny. I just remembered I didn't ask you to give me a prediction on the third place game. So prediction in that game.
You know what? Let the English win. Let them claim that they've got something, but I would like to see Mbappe score. I thought he'd had a decent. I just was so disappointed with the supporting cast I mean, he tried his best, Mbappe, to do a few things. I just think that he needed more people to step up. And dissimilar to the Argentina game, when Messi wasn't able, let's say, to score the goals, he had a supporting cast step up to the plate. And I thought that was the difference.
It definitely was. Definitely was. So prediction, England versus France and score.
Let's say England 2-1. Mbappe scores for France, and Kane gets a couple.
Yeah, I think that's probably realistic. I'm prepared to go with you on that. So the World Cup will end with the World Cup trophy being presented. And there's a pretty good chance that a replica could be presented to Argentina or to Spain because there's a gentleman who's going to be in the presentation that might want the real thing.
You never know what he's going to do on Sunday. I can just imagine. We'll have to tune in.
Yeah, I think people will be more interested in a lot of ways about the interaction between Gianni Infantino and Donald Trump than they will for the trophy presentation.
Who knows what's going to happen? These are my thoughts. One, I'm interested to see this halftime show because I think they're really trying to appeal and have that Super Bowl feeling to the American audience.
Yes.
So that's an interesting thing. I'm talking beyond the actual soccer part. And I also have
Of
this
course.
feeling that Gianni Infantino he's happy to have this done. I think he wants this event has been great, but I think he's looking forward to having it done, and he can say we brought it back to the US. I don't think it'll be back in the US for the foreseeable future, and he can be done with all that nonsense. Although he might be in a little bit of hot water with that USA issue with Balogun. That stuff still not sitting well with me.
Well, apparently he's been reported to the IOC, so I'd surely like to see the report because, the IOC and FIFA, when those guys get together, I'm not so sure that we have the two most incorruptible organizations ever devised by mankind, Giuseppe.
Yeah. And it's sad to say because I'd hope soccer stays away from that nonsense. I thought Johnny Infantino is like, I follow him on Instagram and see all the stuff he's trying to do and expand the World Cup and bring the World Cup around the globe. I like it. I really am a fan of that. But that's probably the one point of the World Cup that will be like a tarnish, a little bit of a stain is I cannot understand how Balogun played because nobody else in the whole tournament who was red carded was given such grace to, oh yeah, you can just come play. Like it's absolutely crazy. I cannot understand it. And who knows, it might cost him his position.
Well, it might because I think he's up for re-election at some point, and I think there may be a few countries and a few people maybe asking some pretty difficult questions.
Role and he's moved the game forward and expanded the format and brought in a Club World Cup, which I think he's brought some good ideas. I think he made a little bit of a misstep there, even though he tried to avoid saying or whatever. He tried to avoid it by saying it wasn't his call. There was a misstep there, and that's it.
Yeah. So, as you mentioned, I'm going to ask you about this last item before we break for today. He's brought up some discussions about a 64-team World Cup. I think that's a bit premature. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's doable. I think it's premature in the sense that it's probably going to be a watered down World Cup, as in there are not enough quality countries per se to keep the scores close and stuff like that. But we'd have to look at some numbers. I mean, off the top of my head, what was the biggest score line difference? Was it 7-1?
I think
Or
so.
something like, yeah. So at least there was no double digits. It was not ridiculous. We had some nice stories of like Cabo Verde tying and all this sort of stuff. At the end of the day, 64 can easily get down to a true round of 32 with the top two out of each division, right? Out of all the divisions to start. So there would be none of this third place stuff. So is it possible? Anything is possible. Next World Cup is going to be in 3 countries. Spain, Morocco, Portugal. There's plenty of venues. It's also the centenarian, I think that's the word, the 100-year anniversary.
Yes, it
so they're
is.
they're starting a couple games. Like I think there'll be a game in Uruguay.
South America.
Yeah, exactly. Just to start the tournament. If it is 64, you're probably looking instead of the World Cup used to be a 3 to 4 week event. Now we're up to 5 weeks. Going to be 6 weeks.
For sure.
I'm sure the
For
players
certain.
the players and agents will have something to say about it. The clubs will have reservations about their players being compromised in terms of fatigue and injury. So there's a lot to do. But if it was next year, I would say, yeah, it's not going to happen. But the World Cup only comes every 4 years, and they're going to have the venues and infrastructure. So I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up at 64.
Well, I think there's 2 points that need to be made. First of all, I like the idea of the third place teams advancing. I thought that brought a lot of drama to the games. And you'll remember the last game and the last goal of the group stage, it impacted who advanced. And so if you wanted drama, you wanted excitement, boy, that was something. If you go to 64, the top two advance. And I would feel badly, for example, if a third place team had more points and didn't advance while a second place team did advance. That would be, I think, unjust. So my thinking is, Giuseppe, that maybe we keep it at 48. I think eventually it will go to 64, but we both know this. TV rights and fees make the whole thing go. And if the World Cup, the organizing committee can dram a few $100 million more for the TV rights and it goes to 64, we all know that TV is king.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I know your point on the third place and the drama, which is what we all want. At the end of the day, it looks like there's no going back from 48. I can see 64, and I think that's where it's headed. And if it doesn't happen at this World Cup, it will happen in the future. The only thing is, in 2034, Saudi Arabia, I'm sure there's lots of money. They're going to need a lot of infrastructure built for the World Cup, but they got time and they got money. So
And
it'll be
and you
interesting.
probably have a lot of locations where they can put stadiums. So it'll be interesting to see. But Giuseppe, I can't wait for Saturday. I'm actually excited about the third place match, but really excited about Sunday. It'll be a great culmination. And I want to thank you for all your help during the cycle here. I've had a lot of fun. We've I think had a lot of fun together. It's been interesting. And I think the reaction of the audience has been great. A lot of people have been watching this and a lot of people have been watching the shorts that I've been putting out. And I want to thank you for everything you've done.
Hey, it's been a lot of fun, and hopefully we can keep doing it in the future.
Yeah, I look forward to that. So we'll see what happens on Sunday, Giuseppe. Best of luck to the Cyclones on Saturday. Let's get 3 points and a big W, get back in the fight, and let's see what happens on Sunday. So thank you again. I know you have a busy schedule when you accommodated me, and I appreciate that. And let's look forward to some great soccer on the weekend.
You got it. Enjoy.
All right. Thanks, Giuseppe. And folks, if you like what you hear, hit like and subscribe. It's all good, and it's going to get even better.